Hey, this is Canary Quilts, and this is the third week of the Christmastime Mystery Quilt Along that Fat Quarter Shop is doing. And this is our third block right here. Mine might be a little busy, but it is 4 Christmas cards, and you can see that the card opens. That's what these right here are. This is the front of the card, and that's where the card is open. But anyway, I'm using my own fabrics for this one. You can get the kit through Fat Quarter Shop. Fig Quilts. I don't remember what the name of the actual fabric line is, but I do have a link down below to the Christmastime Quilt Along kit, and I have links to my fabrics if you're interested. Yeah, it turned out really cute. Not too hard to do. We got some flying geese right here, and we got some half square triangles up here, and then other than that, it's just putting strips together. So this is a beginner quilt. If you know anybody who wants to get into quilting, wants to do a Christmas quilt, this is a great one to get started with. Each block kind of progressively builds on itself, but it's still very easy to put together. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You'll get notified for next week's block. It will be number 4, and there are 5 weeks in this, so I don't know if there's going to be 4 or 5 blocks. But there is 5 weeks, and the 5th week may be just assembling, putting borders on. I'm not sure. It is a mystery quilt. And you'll get notified of all the other fun stuff we got going on here. I do box openings. Those are a lot of fun. I have some more advanced quilt-alongs, or sew-alongs, I guess you could say, that we're working on. If you want to watch those, or if you want to get started on something like that, you can join us. But anyway, let's get started. All right, welcome to week 3 of the Christmastime Mystery Quilt Along. And this is a quilt along Fat Quarter Shop is doing. And this is a free pattern that they release every week, and they're going to for 5 weeks. So you can go grab the first 2 and grab this one and quilt along with us. So this week we have Christmas cards, and that's so cute. It looks like Christmas cards sitting there in the background. This is a 9.5 by 15.5 inch block, so it's on the bigger side. But they've got 4 different Christmas cards here, and they've got 4 different fabrics. And then we have the background fabric. And I am using my own holiday fat quarters that I have in my stash. And we all have Christmas fabric, so you can grab your own Christmas fabric, grab the free pattern, and we can start making this. But anyway, I'll put my fabrics down below if you like my fabrics also. So I'm using a mix of 2 different fat quarters. So this is my background fabric, which is this big piece right here that they show. I'm going to use this as my background fabric. Then each one of these cards has the outside fabric, and then the inside triangles, and then the inside of the card right here. So I have paired up my fabrics for all 4 of these cards, and I'm going to go with black fabric as the outside of the card, and then the inside of the card right here is going to be a different color. So my first set is this gingham and this like holiday card type black fabric, and then I've got snowmen and red snowflakes, and I've got Santa Claus and green snowflakes, and then I've got the holly and candy canes with the gray snowflakes. So that's what my cards are going to be made out of in this. So first thing we got to do is cut our fabrics, which I will do, and I'll come back and show you my cuts. They label each of their cuts by A, B, C, D, and it's A through I. So I've got these alphabetties, which I got in a sew sampler box last year, and I use them all the time. And I've got a link to those down below too. But you can just clip these onto your cuts, and then you know exactly which pieces are which. So let me get started here, getting these cut, and we'll come back and look at my cuts, and we'll start putting this pretty little block together. Okay, I got my cuts done, and I want to run through them because since I'm using 4 different background or accent fabrics here, it's going to make my background cut a little different. So to start with our backgrounds, on A, it says to cut 2 3-inch squares. I'm going to need 4 because I need 4 backgrounds to pair up with my 4 accent colors. They call for only 2 accent colors, but I'm using 4. So that's why I need to cut 4 of these 3-inch squares to make 4 of these half square triangles right here in 4 different fabrics. So that's why I've cut 4. They say to cut 2, and if you have 2 accent fabrics, that's good. But I have 4 accent fabrics, so I'm cutting 4 background squares. So B, we're going to cut 4 2.5-inch squares. Those are going to be right here, so you do need 4. They're going to go next to what looks like the opening of the card. C is this long strip right here that separates the two, and D is the strip that separates the two going this way. So that's all our background pieces. So we get to E, and I already discussed that. That's going to be paired with A, and that's where we're going to start anyway, so I'll keep these down here. We're going to make our half square triangle blocks out of these A and E's. And these are my 4 accent pieces. And then F is the backgrounds for the flying geese right here in the middle of each card. And I have 4 of those, 4 different fabrics. So what I'm going to have is 3 cuts from my 4 different fabrics. And that's what I have here. 3 cuts in 4 different fabrics. And then we have our main card print, which is the outside here. And for G, we've got 2 cuts of the longer, which would be the top and bottom of our card. So that's the longer rectangle. So I have 2 cuts from my 4 different background main fabrics, main card fabrics. And then we have the sides, which is H, which are shorter rectangles out of the main card fabrics. So 4 fabrics, 2 cuts. And then I is going to be paired with our F's here to make these flying geese. So you'll have 6 cuts from each of your main card fabrics for each of these squares. So I have 6 square cuts out of my 4 main card fabrics. So that's my cuts. And like I said, A is a little different because I'm using 4 different accent fabrics. So let's get started with our A and E piece, and we're going to be building this right here. So what we need to do is we need to put a diagonal line on the back of our background piece. On the wrong side. So on each of your background A pieces, put a diagonal line. So we're going to take an accent E and a background A, and we're going to put them right sides together. We will clip them, and then we are going to sew on both sides of this line 1/4 inch away. So what I do is I put my 1/4 inch foot on the edge of this line so that my seam comes out over here. Turn it over, do the same thing, my seam comes out over here. And then we will cut along the line we just drew, and then we will iron it open. Actually, we'll iron it towards the dark color, and then we will have a half square triangle block. It looks like that. So pretty cool. I love half square triangles. They end up looking really cool in a block. So I'm going to get all of these sewn and come back and get them cut and ironed. So we're going to take an accent E and a background A, and we're going to put them right sides together. We will clip them, and then we are going to sew on both sides of this line 1/4 inch away. So what I do is I put my 1/4 inch foot on the edge of this line so that my seam comes out over here. Turn it over, do the same thing, my seam comes out over here. And then we will cut along the line we just drew, and then we will iron it open. Actually, we'll iron it towards the dark color, and then we will have a half square triangle block that looks like that. So pretty cool. I love half square triangles. They end up looking really cool in a block. So I'm going to get all of these sewn and come back and get them cut and ironed. Okay, I'm over here at my machine. I wanted to show you how I do it. I take my 1/4 inch foot and I put the 1/4 inch right here on the line. I'm going to put needle down. And then I'm going to keep that 1/4 inch on the line, and as I sew, it'll make my seam 1/4 inch away from that center line. There you go. There's the seam, 1/4 inch away from the center line, and I will do the same thing on the other side. Just that simple. We'll make 4 of these for this pattern. Okay, now that we have our seams on either side of that center line, we're going to come along and we're just going to trim it out so we end up with 2 blocks. So in my case, 2 of these blocks, or half of these blocks, will not be used because I only need 1 from this set. But I can find a use for them. So I'll put these aside. And then we will iron these towards the dark side. Just like that, to get our half square triangle block. So now we just need to make sure that they measure 2.5 inches square. So you need to trim them up. I take my ruler, which has this diagonal 45-degree diagonal line, put it right on my seam between the 2 fabrics, 2.5 inches down here, and put that on the seam, and then I can just trim it up from there. Flip it over, do the same thing, 2.5 inches along these lines, and it's on that center seam. So there we go. I got a 2.5 inch square. So take your B squares and we want to put it together just like this, where our accent square is pointing down and to the right. And then we'll just put our pieces together. We are going to sew 1/4 inch, and we're going to iron towards this background B patch, just like that. So, corners pointing down and to the right, put it together, and we will have these sections, this section done. I'm going to take this and iron it towards that square background patch. So what we made is this section right here, the opening of the card. Okay, so we can now set this aside. This section is done for sure. Next section is we're going to need F and I. And we are going to make our flying geese. So, I believe I had the gray with the snowmen. The green was with the Santa Claus. The gingham was up here with the writing, and then the red was with the candy canes. So that's how it goes for me. So now that we have all of our pieces put together that we need, how they're going to go together, I have 4 accent pieces, so I have them paired up with my squares here, my main card background. What we need to do is we need to mark diagonals on the back of all of these. So you can do all of them right now and you'll be ready to go. So just like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get all my diagonals marked, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting together the flying geese. So your diagonal is going to go from the middle, center middle to the bottom left. And we will do these on all our pieces, and we'll chain piece them all together. It's the fastest way to do it. So you'll use all 3 of your accent rectangles and then 3 of the 6 squares in each pile that you have. Okay, we'll get these chain pieced. So with a flying goose unit, you want to sew on the line. Last time we sewed 1/4 inch away, but with this we want to sew on the line. Okay, so what we want to do now is take our 1/4 inch mark on our ruler, lay it right on that seam we just made, and cut that corner off with a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And then we are going to iron towards the corner. So we want to do that on all of our little flying geese units here. So now we're going to iron towards the corner on all of these flying geese units. So it looks like that. We have finished ironing. We want to take our fabrics that match up and put the other side onto our flying goose. And it's hard to see, but you want to make sure your diagonal goes from the center top to the bottom right. So you're cutting off this corner, the opposite corner of what you just made. So get everything lined up like that. We can go over and chain piece it all together again. We're going to trim off that corner, make a 1/4 inch seam, just like we did before, and then iron it towards the corner, and we'll have our flying goose unit done. So just repeat on the opposite corner. Alright, I have my flying geese finished, and I have them separated by their color, and we're going to put them, we're going to stack them together like that and sew them. Sew them on these seams right here. And then we're going to iron towards the bottom of the accent triangle. So we'll just get these all laid out, ready to go, and put them together like that. No seams to match, just edge to edge. I like to look at my point when I'm sewing so I can see if I'm going to hit it or not. So that's how I set up my sewing. We'll put 4 of these together. I will sew with the point towards me. And then we are going to iron towards the triangle. Okay, I've got these sewn together, and we want to iron towards the triangle. drawing turned out pretty good. So now we just want to add to the bottom of what we just did to get our 3 flying geese put together. We want to iron again towards the triangle. Okay, so there's my 4 flying geese units. Now we want to take our short H pieces and we're going to match these up with the correct flying geese units, and then we're going to just put them on each side. Sew these on, and we are going to iron towards this H unit. Okay, we want to iron towards the H strip. And we want to add the other H side. Want to add to the other side. And we want to put our H on the other side of our flying goose. Make sure you get the correct fabrics matched up. And get these sewn. And we'll have this little unit done. And we can add our G pieces. Okay, we want to take our G pieces, which are the longer rectangles of our main card fabric, and we are going to add these to the top and bottom of our flying goose units. We are going to sew these on at 1/4 inch and iron these again towards that strip, the G strip we're putting on. Come back, sew these on 1/4 inch, come back and iron them towards the strip. So we've got our G strip sewn on and we're going to iron towards that G strip. We're going to add the other one to the opposite end and do the exact same thing. Sew it on, iron towards the strip. And then this little section will be done. So match your fabrics again. Put your strip on the opposite end. Sew 1/4 inch and iron towards the strip. Now what I need to do is match each of my flying geese with the corresponding fabric up here, the accent fabric. So when you get that figured out, you're going to want to put this on the top so your flying geese are pointing up, and we're going to sew that on 1/4 inch, and we're going to iron towards the flying goose unit. So this one I need the green. It's going to go on like that. This one I need the gray. And this one I need the gingham. So we'll get these sewn on and we'll come back and we're going to iron towards the flying goose unit. Got the tops of our cards ironed on, and we are going to iron towards the flying goose unit. So we are going to now take our D strips and we're going to put 2 of our cards together. And I don't know, I don't think it really matters. Let's put one red on the top and one red on the bottom. How about that? And we are going to get our strip iron on. Sewn on. We'll sew our strip onto one card and we're going to iron towards the strip, and then we'll sew our other card on and iron towards the strip. So we'll do 2 at once here. Come back, get this ironed. Alright, got the other side sewn on, and again we're going to iron towards that D strip. So we are now, let me move this, going to take our C strip and we're going to just join the two, just like this. And we're going to iron towards this C strip. So let's get this put on and come back, we'll get it ironed, our little block will be done. Iron towards that strip and we got ourselves a block. Yo, my Christmas card block. I think I need to give it a little spritz of water, but yeah, it turned out really cool. I like it. But anyway, let me know how it's going for you. Are you doing these blocks? Are you using your own fabric? Did you buy the fabric kit? And again, I have links to my fabrics and the fabric kit down below. And you can get started with this little free mystery mini quilt that we're doing through Fat Quarter Shop. But anyway, hit subscribe button, notification bell, you get notified with next week's. Whoops, that's attached. And see what's the next block in our little journey here of Christmastime Mystery Quilt along. But anyway, I had fun making this block, I had fun making this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!